Alert! We're going to have a strong geomagnetic storm that is going to impact the earth. It is going to impact you physically, mentally, and spiritually, and emotionally as well. We also have our moon shifting into Gemini today. That's going to stack right on top of all of this energy. So let's get into this. What can we expect? Before we get into the geomagnetic storm, let's talk about the energy today, because our moon is going to be shifting into Gemini energy early in the evening, but we're going to be playing for the remainder of the day with that Taurus energy. So this is going to help us evaluate a lot of our current situations. This is still helping us organize all the aspects in our life. Like I said yesterday, it could be your cleaning out your car, it could be cleaning your home, it could be cleaning your friends list, your family, it could be your career, it could be money, it could be your love life, it could be all of those things. Let me know in the comments. But once we shift into that Gemini energy, we're not going to be so introverted, okay? We're going to start interacting with other humans, mainly because we need those aha moments that they're going to provide us. Because with these interactions, it's going to trigger a lot of these ideas that we have been contemplating, and that's just the validation you need from these interactions with other people. So we're rapidly analyzing all our new options because we want to perceive things from a new perspective. But remember, this is not the time to take action. This is a planning period. This is a thinking period, an organizational period. The action period will come soon, but not today. What's coming today is a strong geomagnetic storm, which means you're going to have a plethora of ascension symptoms. These could range from blurry vision, head pressure, crown chakra tingles. You could have nausea, sciatica, joint pain. You could have heart palpitations. Heart palpitations are going to be a really big thing when we have geomagnetic storms. Remember to hydrate and to ground and to meditate when you're doing these things, especially hydrate. No joke, it's a scientifically proven that hydration is key in keeping your body in balance when we have geomagnetic storms because they're high gamma radiation. So we need to have some sort of input that is balancing and cleansing our body. So hydrate when we have these geomagnetic storms. Let me know what type of ascension symptoms you guys are feeling as this buildup happens, because later in the day today, we're going to see the shock arrival from those CMEs. So put a comment in the box of what you're feeling right now, analyze it, and then later in the day, once we have the shock arrival, see if that has changed. Go ahead and add another comment and see the big difference between the two, or is there a difference at all? This is what our sun looks like. We have 10 sunspot regions on our sun. Let's look a little bit more in depth, because this is what it really looks like when we get down to the nitty gritty. We see a lot of beta, delta, and gamma configurations, mainly right here, this huge cluster of sunspots right here. Now, we have already seen a near X-class flare from 3766. We're going to see the effects of this hit us late, mid to late on the 30th. We also just had another flare from 3764. This whole cluster right here, which is Earth facing right now, is going to be a problem. The region I just showed you, which was 3764, shot off this impulsive X 1.5 flare. It sent us a 10 flare. It sent us into a type 2 radio blackout, although it was around 535 kilometers per second, so it was slow. And there were no visible CMEs associated with this X flare, so that's a good thing because we have a lot more that is already stacked on top. Could you imagine if this added to it? These radio blackouts are getting out of control when our magnetic field is so weak that it allows M-class flares to send us into these type 2, type 4 radio blackouts. That says something. We also had an impulsive M8.77 flare that happened earlier this morning. Now, these solar flares are getting stronger and they are breaking down our magnetic field, and we are feeling this. So expect technological glitches within communication systems, GPS and things like that, and also just so you know, for the rest of the week, this is going to be very prominent with all of those sunspot regions, especially that cluster, because we are getting a plethora of these solar flares. Like I said, this M9.9 flare, almost an X-class flare. It was suggested that there's going to be a CME that is going to arrive from mid to late on the 30th due to this full halo CME. And it's not stopping there. And I'm going to tell you why, because we're going to look at 3762 right before we look at this big cluster right here. Although this region is heading off of the western limb of the sun and has went down dramatically in size, it still is magnetically complex in beta, delta, and gamma range. You can see our percentage for an X-class flare from here is a 10%. Our proton levels also at a 10%, so it gives us that slight chance of also going into a solar radiation storm along with the geomagnetic storm stacked on top of each other. And here's our big cluster. This region right here is 3765 down here. 3766 is right above it. They both have the same exact percentage of having an X-class flare from here, and you can tell why. Also magnetically complex beta, delta, and gamma range, and you can see that these are coming together, which means it's explosive, and we can have some really large solar flares associated with this. Remember, just around the sun, we have another active region that is coming on. It gave us an X14, which is the highest solar flare that we have had in solar cycle 25, on the complete opposite direction of where we are located, and we still were affected by this. So even though these active sunspots spin around the sun and we may not see them, we're still affected by them. This is very serious stuff, guys. I don't know if you know, but if you haven't already, please subscribe to my page because you need to be privy to all of this information. We are going to see enhancements likely to arrive later in the day today due to this filament eruption along with another CME that is gobbling it up, mainly due to the first CME being slower, the second CME being a lot faster, catching up to the other one and basically gobbling it up. And that's where you see that really large band, mostly of density. As you can see, they're stacked right on top of another, yet again gobbling the other one up. This is what we call a cannibal CME. To reiterate, we have our first filament eruption that had a CME associated with it. It went off first. The second one came off second, a lot faster than the first one, caught up to the other one, basically gobbling it up, creating one large wave. Everybody was asking what a cannibal CME was, so it's basically just another CME gobbling up the other one because the others are too slow. But we also have that M9.9 near X-class flare, full halo CME that is going to arrive mid to late on the 30th. So we're literally having stacked on stacked on stacked energy today. First, that filament eruption that's coming today. The second one being that M-class flare that's going to follow and make this large, dense line. The third being that near X-class flare, that M9.9. And then right on top of that one, we had a CME from region 3768, which is off of the southwestern limb of the sun, but the bulk is passing ahead to basically the south. But we're going to have some glancing influence, which will be late on the 31st and into August 1st. So the whole week, we are going to see an intensifying of energy and cognitive problems. You may have trouble speaking or getting things out or communicating in general. It may be a little bit hard because your brain and your body are not functioning together. Let me know if you're experiencing that in the comments because I sure am. So here's our 3-day geomagnetic forecast. So today on the 29th, we're going to see an enhancements likely later in the day today, reaching into those KP4, KP5 levels, which is an active minor G1 geomagnetic storm. Notice how we are going to increase, and they don't really have a full spectrum on how large this really is going to be, so they're guesstimating. So a further enhancement on the 30th is expected to the 31st and into the beginning of August. This may continue due to that cluster of sunspots that I showed you on the sun and the arrival of multiple CMEs. So tomorrow we could expect to get into some strong geomagnetic storm levels, which are no joke. I repeat, you need to hydrate when we have geomagnetic storms. It is no joke. We'll get up into those KP7 levels before we dip right back down into those moderate geomagnetic storm levels, but this could continue or get a lot higher. We don't know yet, but the higher latitude positions, you're gonna see an aurora here. I hope I do too. I'm in Ohio, so that would be amazing. But check out for the aurora borealis in whatever area you're in. But if you're in a higher latitude position, please tag me in all your photos. So that's the energy today. Let me know in the comments what you're feeling. But I will be live today, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to answer all of your questions, and we're gonna go over all the data again. Love ya.